In many cases, these loans were pushed on undemocratic regimes in developing world countries, dictatorships and so on, and the money was given so that they could buy our goods, in some cases our weapons. And so the loans really helped prop up all manner of unsavory regimes. They were spent on projects that did absolutely nothing to benefit the people in the countries concerned, and they were often lent at exorbitant rates of interest. So even though those countries have already repaid their debts, they still owe just as much. And we think that's primarily an issue of justice, and that you're never going to really attack poverty in the world unless you deal with developing countries in a just and fair way. Despite the debt cancellation that's been given, it's very much seen as a part of a charity, if you like, as, well, we understand you made a mess of things, and we're going to forgive you that debt. That's not how it should be seen. We should be looking at who bears real responsibility for this lending, and in many cases that comes back here to Western banks and Western governments and the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. We need to look at not just the poorest countries who've been affected by debt relief, but slightly richer countries which still have massive amounts of poverty. Countries like India, like Ecuador, like South Africa, where very irresponsible and reckless lending ran up debts, and people are still living in poverty as a result of those debts. We really want to start focusing now on the debts that were run up in the 1960s and 1970s, but are still being repaid, even though they were run up in circumstances that were completely unfair and illegitimate. And we're calling these the original toxic debts, if you like. And we want to, one of the main institutions that ran up those debts in the UK is a government department called the Export Credit Guarantee Department, and it ran up debts to all manner of dictatorial regimes. It ran up debts that we used to buy British weapons, that we used in human rights abuses in countries. Many of the cases were mired in corruption. Many of them supported useless projects that had no benefit for the people on the receiving end at all. And we want to say to that institution, first of all, we don't think it's right that those countries are still repaying those debts, and we want you to audit those debts and cancel those that you find to be unfair and illegitimate. And secondly, we want you to improve your lending standards so that you are not supporting those kind of projects in future, so that those kind of debts are not run up anymore.